Good evening, everyone. My name is Shafer. I'll be your facilitator in tonight's workshop. Before we start, I wanted to go quickly around the table and ask you to introduce yourselves and tell us which program you are. Starting by this famous person over here to my right.
Dr. Rand, this way. Hi. So I'm Dr. Kramer, and I teach some of the process improvement, not all of them, bluntly. I teach the first one and the last one. And of course, coming up next year, for those of you who might be starting the program, we're going to have one more class. Yeah, it's going to be a practicum, which will be following fall. So looking forward to it. We've got the classes coming up, starting soon, the tools class, and we're getting our advisory group involved, so we got some data coming in. But this is awesome. You guys are great. Welcome. And
yes, thank you. How about you?
My name is Ali. I'm a biology major, freshman.
Biology
Well,
freshman.
do your magic, man.
Hello everyone, I'm a business administration major. My name is Rayhan Shafer. I'm an undergrad last semester, graduate this semester. That's about it.
Hi, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Nikki Ortiz. I'm already graduated from the process improvement concentration last semester, and I was also the previous president or chair of the ASQ.
Thank you. Brian?
I'm Brian Edwards. I am Ann Shafer's husband. I'm here for moral support.
Hi, my name is Michael Aparicio. I'm in the process improvement MBA.
Are you first year, second year?
I started last summer, so almost a year.
Brooke, I'm the vice chair for the ASP board and process improvement, and I'll be finishing either spring 2 or fall. I'm Cindy, process improvement also. I'm the secretary of the ASQ and I'll be done spring 2.
I am David, and I'm in the process improvement concentration, and I should be able to, I think, be done about spring 1 or 2, maybe spring 2.
Perfect. So what I wanted to see is I wanted to know what it is that you guys expect to get out of this workshop. So what do you think we are going to do? When we come out, what do you want to learn from this?
I want my job to be seen.
We also have Nicole.
Oh, yes.
Nicole, can you hear us? Can you hear me, Nicole?
I can't. The sound isn't great, though. Is there any way to move the mic a little bit closer to?
Yeah, Let me see if I can make the mic a little more sensitive for you, and I'll do that.
Okay.
Well, actually, yeah. But people can't. So, Nicole, here. Now, talk real loud so everyone can hear about you.
Sure. I'm Nicole Beach. I'm a process improvement concentration, and I'm about 4 classes away from graduating with my MBA. That's it.
Did everybody get that? Okay.
Welcome, Nicole.
Okay, so I'm going to turn the gain up.
So what do you want from the workshop?
I want for my future employer to pick me out from all the other resumes that they have in order to give me the opportunity to apply, of course, to get the job.
So you want to stand out from when the recruiter is looking for candidates. You guys didn't know about this, so I don't know if you have any preconceived.
Well, I'm still choosing a MBA concentration,
Okay.
leaning more towards finance, but I like process improvement, and maybe that'll be something I'll consider.
Okay, so you might even see if it's something that you like.
Correct.
Okay.
But this is going to be applicable, right, regardless of what you major or
Yeah.
what you're going to do.
Yeah. So looking for the concentration, maybe. What we're going to do is at the end, we'll look at these things and see whether we have accomplished what we wanted to do. Ryan?
I'm just here to make sure that you do really well.
Okay.
So,
So,
I think
there's
also,
the facilitator do well.
also, I think, I'm sure I could stand to benefit from some of the information you have about how to stand out, in case I'm in the job doing it, or just looking for candidates to employ by me.
I would like more information about like different areas that you could go into
Different areas, what do you mean?
in process improvement. Like something you don't know, well, the process improvement. So different areas that they use process
For areas within the field?
improvement. Yeah.
I think it's more to highlight the advantages or of this degree, instead of just putting MBA at the bottom of it, process improvement, kind of highlight those skills out.
Cindy?
Just kind of how to present myself better on LinkedIn.
Okay. David?
Just pretty much to leverage the process improvement and able to see, in terms of what the industry wants and what exactly is a process improvement and what I can tell people to look at it.
Like, what is the profile of a process improvement?
Yes, like in terms of how can I tailor the other stuff that I did to align with the process improvement because they want to see like.
Awesome, that's really good. So leverage other skills with PI, right? Good, because we will talk about this, okay? After this event, I will ask you guys to fill out a feedback form. And this is a little bit different than the one we did before, just for variety. What I'll ask you to do is it has 4 squares here. What went well, okay, today? Questions you guys might have. What needs improvement? Everything is improvement. In the field that everything is a golden nugget, everything needs improvement. And if you have any ideas for improvement. Okay, so I'm going to put this over here and I'll ask you guys at the end to give us that feedback. So I will quickly go over what this organization is about, okay, for those of you who don't know. So we are the ASQ, and we're an organization here at NOVA. Our vision is to make sure that we are providing the students in this field with opportunities, future career paths, tools, and there is a parent chapter 1510. I think that, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Kramer, with our next event, we will have the 1510 at least invited so that we are all together in the same room.
We hope to fill this whole room up.
Yes, and we will mark it heavily to make sure that we will. So those of you who don't know, we are planning on April 29th for us to have an author by the name of Roland Kavanaugh. He is the author of the Six Sigma Way and other books. The Six Sigma Way is his most famous book. There's the Toyota Way, but he's got the Six Sigma Way. And he is coming here from California. He does process improvement in wineries. So that's a very interesting field that to apply everything that we know on those tools. So I think it's going to be awesome so that people and students understand that they can, there's not going to be new wines, but this is the team. So we have Cindy, Brooke, and Dr. Kramer here. Patty is the only one. She had a flat. She couldn't be here today. What is the ASQ? Those of you who are, okay, who is not a member of the ASQ? I know you guys are not. You're not a member of the ASQ. You're not a member of the ASQ. The American Society for Quality, if you're a student, it costs you $28 a year for you to be a member. It's very important that you are a member because there's a lot of things that you can get out of that organization. This is the organization of your field. This is kind of like, oh, I'm a marketing student, and if you're a marketing student, you're going to be with the AMA, right? So you want to be with the ASQ. $28 a year, you can't beat that price. Probably the best that you can get out of that membership is to be able to attend the yearly World Conference on Quality for $95. People pay $1,200, and as a student, you can pay $95. Other than that, a lot of tools, a lot of publication, a lot of good things that happen within that website and the communities. I mean, it's just like a wealth of information. The South Florida chapter, this is the parent chapter of this organization. Every month there is a dinner, a networking dinner that we pay $5 to attend. And you can network with people who are already, they're not students, they're already working in the field. It's really good for you to meet other people. And as you will see, we will talk in this workshop that you just can't try to promote yourself if you're not networking with other people, okay? So it's really good that you have a chance to also participate and talk to others. And our branch. So we have a website. And we have done some things. Last year we sent a student to a conference. Nikki was there. We have taken students to do a quality clinic to visit United Technologies Corporation, which is the company I work for a visit, a tour. We can do another one this year as well. And in May we will do a tour of City Furniture, where they will show the students how they apply lean methods. Okay. And opportunities in job certifications, knowledge, networking, that's what we want to do. And let's take it to the next level. Like I said, Nashville in May is the next conference. Like I said, $95. I really think it's important because you learn so much, right, Nikki?
Oh my goodness, it's
Right.
amazing because you hear the terminology in the classroom, you study the theory, but when you go there, you're actually participating in what people are actually doing in their jobs. They're bringing these ideas, they're bringing the theories, they're talking about all sorts of different things. I think it's priceless.
Yeah,
So actually, it's at least once.
At least once. And it's not just in the field of quality. There's a lot of, one of the sessions that I went to even talked about how to network. You know, networking is not just exchanging business cards, but what it actually is. There's stuff on LinkedIn there, but that's the basics. They also have much more advanced things. You're probably going to have a session on doing statistics process control and behavioral statistics. With the mini tab folks, and it gets a little bit like beyond my level, but there's for everyone. Try to get there. If you can afford a Michael Kors bag for yourself, you will be able to afford going to a conference because you can get on the Southwest flight to Nashville for very cheap. And you guys are familiar with Airbnb? No? Airbnb? Yeah, what's Airbnb?
I don't know, I heard of it.
Okay, Airbnb is a website that's pretty cool. It is, if you have a house and you have an empty room, you advertise that you have that available. It costs $50. Like I went to Washington, I didn't go because I got a house for free, but if I would not, I would probably, I searched like $47 a night. So you don't even have to pay $100, $200 for the hotel. You know, you can stay at a person's house for $47, $50, and stay very close so you can leverage. I mean,
It's definitely worth it.
like I said, if you can afford a Michael Kors bag for the women out there, you can do this.
Nova doesn't pay.
Huh?
Nova doesn't pay for it.
Nova, why would Nova pay for it?
We pay for others, some other groups doesn't. Just curious.
Well, when you are a member of the ASQ, you're already getting a $1,000 discount, right? Instead of paying $1,100, you're paying $95. So that's pretty good that way. Okay. So let's talk about this one over here. So we wanted to talk today. We will. So we're here until 8:30, right, Dr. Kramer? Okay. So spring break tune-up. We wanted to see what are the tools that can be leveraged and used for people to improve their presence on LinkedIn and on their resumes. I wanted to ask you guys, by the way, this is a workshop format, so I don't talk all the time, you can interrupt me. I wanted to ask you, why do some people get ahead and others don't?
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Anyone else?
Sometimes the resume is not tailored to what the specific job is. They just put a general resume that fits everything, but usually they want something tailored to that position. And if it's going to be something in process improvement, they want you to at least adjust your resume to fit that in some way.
So, okay, so you have a general resume. So what else in your professional life, why do some people get ahead and others stay behind, and they might have the same skills?
They have clear goals and they're go-getters.
Mm-hmm.
Some people sit down and they expect everything to just happen for them, and other people are asking questions and trying to move ahead.
Social.
Presentation.
Accreditation, different bodies.
Your presentation, you mean how they behave, how they conduct
The whole
themselves?
package. Sometimes it's, you dress for the part you want. They say that, you dress for the position you want sometimes. That could play a part, as well as, the way you, just different things. The way that you can express yourself.
So is it kind of like a perception of you more than who you are?
Mm-hmm.
So perception of you. Anything else? Dr. Kramer, why do some other people get ahead more than others?
I think they're more attentive. They're just looking for options, opportunities. They got their antenna out.
They take the risk. So
Yeah,
some people
willing to take
are
risks.
Yeah, more.
scared of coming out of their comfort zone.
Mm-hmm. They
They're
take
applying for
risks.
change.
Okay. Those are good. So today we're going to talk about 4 things. We're going to talk about personal branding. We're going to talk about building content. We will go over a LinkedIn example, and if we have enough resumes, we'll do a resume activity. I wanted to show you guys I want to recommend you this book here. It's called the 10 Ks of Personal Branding. I got this from an intern. I love interns. Where I work, the interns that come to work for us, they just have a lot of these things. They're go-getters. They have good presentation skills. They take risks. And they look for opportunities. So I got this from an intern. He gave it to me. And I read it, and I think it's pretty good. I recommend it because it talks about how to put you out, how to market yourself. Doesn't matter which field you are. This is just like you being in a package, right? I mean, just like there's a product and there's a package. Nobody knows who the product is because they don't know, but they all look for that package, for the outside. I might have good presentation skills, good public speaking skills, but I might suck at statistics, right? But you don't know that. But I put up so much a good show that I can impress, and that is one of the most important things that you can do, because everybody out there, they don't know who you are, but they have a very good idea by looking at your face, how you shake your hand. And this guy who wrote this book, he talks a lot about all those aspects of how to present yourself, how to brand yourself as a product, how to brand yourself as a commodity. Okay, so I recommend that. It's called the 10 Ks of Personal Branding. I would recommend that. And I also wanted to say that if you are in process improvement and you're relatively young, because I don't consider myself young because we were talking here earlier today, that I started college when I was 32 years old. I graduated at 36 and started this thing like a little bit later. And right now, anybody who starts in this field, is that you are at a very lucky position because every information that you want to open up a corporation, the information is online. You want to do a certification, the information is online. Everything is online today. So there's not a better way, a better time in history for anybody to learn about improving themselves by leveraging tools that are online. You can get a lot of information just by going and looking for them. Stuff is not going to come to you. You have to go out there and get it, right? So in the personal branding, the way that I think that the problems that I've heard, especially from students, I've been here for a while. I've been here since 2008. I talk to a lot of students. Things take me forever for me to finish this degree. So I talk to a lot of students and I hear, this is what I hear. I have never worked as a project manager before. I've never done a project before. I have never held this position in this company before. I'm only a student. So I hear what I call all of these things that I call okay. It's kind of like you're putting yourself, you're helping yourself to put yourself down. And I hear a lot of that. And I understand it because it is, process improvement is a relatively new field. There aren't many people out there. We were talking about this earlier today. He was saying that he wants to be in finance, and I said, in process improvement is interesting because this is the new way of businesses. Any business who is doing business in the old way, it's just, it's passe. And now the new way is applying these tools, is applying Lean, is applying Six Sigma, reducing variation, and all of that. And when you go out there, you go work for a company and you bring this skill set, if they understand, if they value that, you're all the way up here because there aren't many people out there who has this skill set. So when people say, but I have never done and this and that, I understand it. But what you need to do is you need to get there. You have to do some homework all the way from transforming everything that you do, everything that you know, and putting this in a package of a process improvement profession, right? And how do you get there? Well, as I said, I like working with interns because the interns, they don't have the experience. So if you don't have the experience, what do you have? You have potential, right? So sometimes it is better and it's for you to show potential than it is for you to show experience. What's going to happen? You're going to come to a job interview and they're going to talk about, oh, but I am looking for this person who knows how to, do hypothesis testing. And you're going to go like, holy cow, I don't do this. I've never done this before. But at least if you have all this time learning and doing your homework, you should be able to turn the dynamics of that interview and put those things in a different perspective to the recruiter. Because what happens is, when you go to those job interviews, a lot of recruiters, first of all, the recruiter doesn't know what you do. The hiring manager might know, but the recruiter has absolutely no idea. And then what happens in those interviews these days? They tend to talk a lot about the old-fashioned way of interviewing, which is talking about your experience. And if you don't have the experience, how are you going to change the dynamic? You have to talk about your potential. Because then they're going to say, David, I see here that you don't have much experience about that. But you know what, I learned how to use, I know how to calculate critical path. I don't use much project management, Microsoft project. You're asking for a Microsoft project, but you know what? I use any Gantt chart that can be done in Excel. So you have to acquire the skills, forget about your experience, and turn that into your potential. Talk about things that you can do rather than things that you have done in the past. Okay, so it's very important that you think about that. Don't be thinking, I've never done a project before. I've heard that a lot I took project management with Kim, and there were a lot of students in there. She was talking about the PMP certification. And the people were like, how am I going to record 4,000 hours of projects. And she was saying, very easy. You do tasks every day. You go from A to B. Document that as a project. Use the methodology and start logging in your hours, start logging in all those projects that you're doing. You're going to get to those 4,000 hours, but you have to do the homework to get there. So she was saying a lot of people, they kind of like help themselves and not to go ahead, you know, because they just don't know how to frame it in the right way. So when we talk about a commodity, personal branding, a lot about building your content. And what I mean by building your content is you have to start learning about the tools. You have to do your homework outside of classes. You can't only be talking about what Dr. Kramer is talking in 1520. You have to go to ASQ website. You have to get familiar with the lingo. When you go to networking events, you have to be talking the same thing that these guys are talking about. And you have to be able to do that switch, which is, I don't have the experience, but I have the potential. I don't have the experience, but I have the potential. And how do you have the potential is you learn. So you have to learn.
So you have to read in essence.
You have to read. You have to read. I think that you're going to take the 50-20 class. 50-20 class is very intense, and there's a lot of information. You're just going to get thrown with all these tools and all the statistics. You're going to go like, you know, this thing is like, oh my goodness, that Dr. Kramer is crazy. And he wants, you know, that rubric is crazy. And you're just going to get overwhelmed. Guess what? You're not going to be able to learn every single thing. You're not going to. Even if you go to Dr. Kramer, I'm pretty sure if you go to him and you ask him one of the, you know, very, very sophisticated thing or problem, he's probably going to have to stop and think about it because you can't know everything. My suggestion is that you pick on a specific tool and then you learn it really, really well. I like SPC, Statistical Process Control. I think that one is an easy one. That's one that you can talk to others about it. You can establish low control limits, upper control limits. You can talk about variation. You can apply it to a business process. You can apply it to manufacturing. And you can actually use it for something, as opposed to doing hypothesis testing, because I have never seen, you know, at least where I've worked, using that, but a certain level of SPC I have seen. So I chose to learn that one really well. You might want to specialize in project management. You might want to specialize in gauge R&R, or you might want to specialize in, I don't know. Tell me another one.
No, let's look at all the DMAIC steps. So there's, you know, you got the front end parts. You can be a good person in understanding systems and processes and how to analyze a problem. You know how to break it down. You may be better at maybe putting together solutions and coming up with ideas and how to integrate and be responsive to the different needs. When Anna says right, rarely are you put on the spot where it's like, okay, you have 2 hours to come up with a solution that's written down in a specific form. No, you're going to be challenged with different tasks. You just have to feel comfortable, and they have to feel comfortable that you know where to go. So in other words, in going through these classes, you need to be able to create your own breadcrumbs.
Correct.
You know, go back, establish textbooks and dog-ear them, because first of all, even in the certification exam, it's open book. Not like the PMP. This one's open book, so you can literally take in a reference, and it means you need to know about it. You need to be able to get to it. You need to be able to then speak with authority, but it doesn't mean you have to have it all, completely understood and be able to regurgitate. And there is a difference. So you have to get the lay of the land. You have to be aware of the terminology. You won't even know what to look for. But then it's a matter of, I've seen this before. I know where to look for. You go to your reference, say, okay, now I go look it up. Say, okay, so we're trying to figure out, has anything changed? Well, how do I know if it's changed? Well, the process level of output was X, now it's Y. And it's not exactly the same as Y, but they're pretty close. So the question is, are they different? Is the amount of difference you see enough to make a conclusion that anything's any better? If you're claiming, look, I made the process better, okay, and they're like, well, how do you know? You say, well, look, the measures are different. And they're like, well, you took 2 measurements, so what? But, what you can then do is say, okay, now I need to go back to this hypothesis testing. Well, how much data do I need to be able to conclude with a certain amount of confidence that I know that the mean, or that the how it was coming out in general, the mean, has actually changed? Okay, so those are helpful, but you have to know what do I need and how to communicate. A lot of times you're going to be a liaison between technical and application. So you're going to have to take, and preferably don't get too steeped in, or don't get too heavy in the jargon. Stay away from the jargon. Know the jargon enough, because you're going to look at the books are full of jargon. But if you're full of jargon, then you're just going to speak gobbledygook, and people are going to be afraid of you. Okay, so you got to be able to say, look, what are you trying to do here? Talk in their terms, understand in their terms, and then you have to then translate it back into things that you find in textbooks, which they can't do, but you can. But the good thing is that generally doesn't happen in the 2-hour exam. You're not given an exam to do that. You have the time, but you have to be comfortable and confident enough to where you can do that. Because that's why they hired you, is to say, okay, if we're trying to make changes, you have to help us know if the change has actually is actually real or not. Or are we just looking at, because everything varies here and there. The question is it varying, what am I looking at? I've got tons of data. You've got to help them through that.
So it is, as Dr. Kramer was saying, it is important that you're familiar, you're able to actually have a conversation about it. Even if you don't understand, or if you have never used a certain tool, you have to at least be able to understand and see where that is coming from, so that you can have a conversation either through an interview with a recruiter or a hiring manager. So I do recommend that you just don't focus on a class. Class alone is just not going to get you where you need to be. You need to participate in groups on LinkedIn. You need to read. You need to go to ASQ at least once a week and see what it is that you're talking about. Just get familiar with it. Because the more familiar you get with it, the easier it is for you to actually talk about it if you ever come in a conversation, to an interview or anything like that. So yourself as a commodity, branding is build content. So how do you build content? You really have to do your homework. You have to spend time, because there's a lot of information in this field, and you have to be familiar with what they're talking about. Potential versus experience. We talked about that. So don't be afraid that you don't have the experience, but you have to have something in you with the experience. If you don't have experience, you have to have potential. If you don't have either one, you're just not going anywhere, right? So if you don't have experience, make sure that you at least can dominate some of those discussions, and that you can present yourself well through your personal branding, interviews, networking, and any of that. So build your potential. I've seen it before. I've hired people, I've interviewed people where the smart ones, when I start going somewhere and I start trying to test their knowledge, the smart ones, you're going to make that switch. Say, let me just take her in another direction, so I don't show her that I don't know, but I tell her that I can do it, okay? And that is the perception versus your accomplishment. We talked a little bit about it's not you, it's a perception of you, so make sure that you put out there a good perception of you if you don't have a good you. And skills versus talent. Again, if you don't have the talent, because talent is all your past, right? But skills is your present and your future. Make sure you've got the skills. And create a constance of purpose. That stealing that from the Deming principle, means that create a constance of purpose. You have to participate. You have to go to networking events. You have to go on LinkedIn. You have to participate in groups. You have to contact. One very good thing is blogging. I don't know, does anybody here like to write? You like to write? So LinkedIn is an environment that allows you to become a writer. Okay? Recently, LinkedIn opened up to everybody. Anybody can go in there and write a blog. One good thing that you can have that goes together with your LinkedIn profile is that you actually write posts. And write posts are usually, not something brief or anything. You kind of like write an opinion about something. Do you guys normally go to LinkedIn and you read what other people write on LinkedIn? You do? You do, Nikki?
Sometimes.
You do? Michael? No? Okay, so when you go, there's a lot of people that are going out there and they're writing. Jack Welch writes. There's this lady in HR. She's really, really good. I follow her. So if you like something, you can follow, and then every time that person writes, something comes up. And one good thing for you to build your content is for you to become a writer. And I'm like, oh, and I have no idea what I'm going to write about. Well, you can read about something in the news, transform that into business, try to see the process improvement side of it, and write 3-4 paragraphs about it. And then people will start commenting. My first LinkedIn post was certification is the new MBA. That's what I wrote. Because when I got my black belt certification, I thought, gee, I think that I can get more from this certification than I can get from my MBA. Okay? And then I'm like, what are the advantages of a certification versus an MBA? So I wrote about it. I got like 2,000 people that looked at it. 25 people made comments. All the comments were good except one that says, the only people who said something about this are people who don't have an MBA. That's fine, it's a comment, But I'm like, okay, good, I actually got, people to actually talk about it. Am I an authority on certification? No, I just wrote an opinion. So from that, I got a guy in Texas who read my post about certification. He asked if he got permission for him to post that in his hospital or whatever because he was trying to promote certification. I'm like, go ahead and do that. So that kind of like it gets you out there. You talk, people start listening to your voice.
Yeah.
It takes a while.
That's what the same what you meant about
Yeah.
the certification.
Okay.
Because everyone has the MBA nowadays.
Correct, and that's one of the things I wrote about.
Everyone's getting certification, more certification, project improvement, and consistency.
Yeah,
better when you leverage yourself.
Exactly.
But it's not saying that you have to have the MBA like a foundation still, because everyone has it, so at least you're supposed to have it. If you're gonna do a competency CPA thing, still you don't need it because CPA is such a big thing in that area. But it's how you leverage one.
Yes, and I do want to make sure that, especially those of you who are in the process improvement track, that you try certification. You don't want to do the black belt because you think if it takes too long, just do the green one. Don't do the yellow. Nobody's going to go, I'm going to do yellow. No.
Actually, in my job hunting that I've been doing recently, I have found that certification is as important, if not more important than the but you need to go through the steps in order to learn the stuff. If you just go, unless you're working in the field and maybe it's something that you study from some other ramification, I mean, you want to go to school, you want to get the rest of the education that you get.
Yeah, so it's like a package.
Right, but the certification
is better competitive than others.
Yes, especially I've seen a lot of the black belt and the master belt.
Okay, so here's what I published, right? So I got 2,000 views, 112 likes. I was so proud. Oh my gosh, people actually like what I wrote. And I got 24 comments,
Just roll
right?
it from something, you just roll it like.
I just thought about, after I got this, I'm like, certification is probably better. And I'm like, okay, so I just went in and I thought about why. So I put here as a validation of your knowledge, because when you have a certification, you can actually it's a certification that says, I know this because I got tested for it, So, and then when you guys also, when you want to write, people nowadays, they don't like spending time reading it. They don't have time for reading. So do, little things, right? It's more current. So it's a certification that expired. After a certain amount of years, they expired. So your MBA, you might have an MBA that you did 20 years ago, but how do you validate that that person is always keeping current with what's going on? Well, it requires you to, every certain amount of years, it requires you to get tested again. It shows an employer that you invest in yourself. Because, I know, man, that person actually took the time. Guys, it took me 11 months by myself. Right? If I had taken, I just didn't want to pay anybody for that because that was kind of expensive.
Oh, so you study on your own?
I studied on my own. I was actually studying on my own when I was doing the 50-20 ones. Because so that while I was doing the 50-20, I was studying at the same time. So it kind of like helped me. What I do recommend is that I didn't want to do the PMP because the PMP would require me to the project management. The one that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the project. I didn't want to do the project management only because the project management would require me to test. I think certified shorter than the black belt, so I didn't want to spend the money. But the best time would have been after. If you wanted the PMP, you have to do it right after. You will forget. And then you're gonna have to study everything all over again.
Coming right back.
Okay. So it just shows the employer
How much
initiative
cost
itself.
How much like expensive to take it, or is it like?
I actually took in this room.
Oh, bro.
Yeah, I was in this room. $400.
Oh.
If nothing else works, it's for your personal satisfaction, right? So it's really good because after you do that, you feel good. My husband, he's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, and I'm like, in your football.
So not formally used.
So going back here to what we were talking about. So doing blogs is also a very good way for you to, and like I said, it doesn't have to be anything fancy or anything like that. I don't know, you take a class, you go to his class and you learn about a certain small tool. You guys taken quality management already? Quality management has the seven quality tools. And Ishikawa guy with fishbone, and what else fishbone? And Pareto charts, right? So if you use Pareto charts at your job, you can write a blog that says, what I know about Pareto. People go like, what's a Pareto? They might look at it. And recruiters are going to look at it, and then they're going to see that you're actually talking about it. So it really, really helps.
And I think the other thing is too is when you have to read, you gotta to talk about stuff, you have to know what's going current pace and what the professionals are saying out there. You can't just say stuff out of your head like I'm talking the same thing.
Right.
It's like that's what my finance teachers say. Get a subscription to a magazine, finance or whatever the economic what kind of magazine this is, entrepreneur magazine, and then from there you can tie whatever you learn and say, did an issue in the article where they mentioned
Just
this.
don't plagiarize, but.
No, according to the time,
Exactly.
the issue, an issue where finance was doing this and that, you could just put it like what we learned in our class to kind of fix the problem. That would be, and then the discussion and stuff like that. Because you can't have stuff that's out of your head like that.
Oh, no.
To add what you were saying about building knowledge, that's another one of the big reasons why you want to go to the 1510 meetings and 1515, because you have speakers coming in, and they're talking all the terminology that we need to use eventually. So seeing it in action, in practice, is very different than seeing it in content and in text.
And then we meet the same time like we're meeting right now, right?
6:30, 8:30, right? Is the dinner or 7 to 9?
6:30 is like networking, I think. Yeah,
Right.
and then 7. I haven't been in one in a long time, but it's 6:30.
It's 6:30, yeah.
Not the student one.
But with the more professionals.
Where you just do like a networking thing at a restaurant. There's a restaurant, it's right by here, and then there's the one in
You got a shoe on, yeah, which is the
Tropical
blockers.
Acres, right?
Yeah.
And it's $5, and then you just participate and you do all kinds of different things that have a lot of people attend.
Oh, do you do that too?
If you're part of ASQ student
Yes.
you do it.
You attend, good.
Yes.
So participation, okay? Contacts, get to know people. Come here. Write some writing if you can. And then networking and continuous learning. Again, this is a never-ending thing. This is like when we go to the gym. Going to the gym is forever, right? Sitting is continuous learning is forever. You can't know everything. You can't. So we talked about the creation of content. So I want you to have in mind what you need to do is you need to create content. You need to build content about yourself. And what kind of opportunities can you have? So I just wrote a couple of things here. Volunteer to do anything you can at your job. Because you're going to go, man, I don't have that title. It doesn't matter. Because when you have your LinkedIn webpage, your LinkedIn webpage is your page. It's not your employer's page. Okay? So you are able to write down there everything that you do, and your employer can and cannot say. Obviously, you're not going to put there that you're CEO of the company. But when you go in there and you call yourself a team leader, your employer cannot tell you that you're not a team leader. But hey, there's a project, and I am the leader of the project. I'm a team leader. So what happens is, because of search engine optimization, what you want those words to come up as much as possible. Because when the recruiters go, recruiters are not going to be looking one by one. They're going to be doing searches, and then they're going to do the keywords. So you want to make sure that you use the right keywords that deal with leadership. Okay, team leader, project leader. If you don't want to say project manager because you don't feel like you're a project manager on something, if you want to say the word leader, just use it as much as you can because that helps. So volunteer to do anything you can at your job, which is if your HR manager wants to do I want to put a team together for employee survey. We want to launch an employee survey at our company. Can I be a team leader for that? Okay, so you always wanted to be involved. Take the leadership and everything that you can, because it's through that you're going to be able to use those words when you're actually LinkedIn, build your content, build your portfolio of things that you do. So rewrite your story. How many of you have written a procedure has changed the procedure at work? Okay, so when you do that, this is how you can write it. I establish the standard work to change variation. When you write in the procedure, what does the procedure do? Standardize the process, make sure that people don't vary the way that you do different than the way you do. So you're reducing variation, right? So a lot of these things that you are doing at work today are very much linked to process improvement, but what you don't do is be able to actually tell it in those words. So when you do your LinkedIn profile, when you write your resume, you need to be able to change the terminology. How many of you have created a new process at work? You created a new process at work. So when you do that, you're actually using this here. That was that, right? So when I submitted my thing for the black belt certification, I was supposed to have a black belt project. You think I had a black belt project? I didn't have a black belt. I never worked as a black belt before. But I created a new process. And when I created a new process, it required, to the black belt, I think it's called a portfolio affidavit. When you write an affidavit, you're supposed to write down what it is that you did. What kind of tools have you used? And then I was thinking, okay, I created a brand new process, so this is this define, measure, analyze, design, and verify. You design something new. This is not a dynamic process. Okay? When you create something new, that's what it's called. So right there, when you put in your LinkedIn, you throw that word in there, comes up in some search. Okay? And also establishes you as somebody who, let me put a disclaimer here, I don't want you to lie about anything. I just want you to be able to use the terminology that is going to help you. Okay? So make sure you know what that is if you're going to use it, okay? But you can do that.
Does that have to be work? Could be it could be your like a group that you're in.
Yeah.
For instance, like your strategic program group, and you can apply to that as well.
If you're creating something new, if you're designing something new, but it's not an idea, okay? It's an actual project. Or it's an actual process that you document from start to finish. You are designing something new, so it does qualify.
But it doesn't, it has to be like, work, a professional setting, or it has to be,
If you created something for the organization, let's say, that you work at, you create a new process for the organization, and it's going to be difficult for you to say that it was a DMAV project only because it requires a little bit more than just writing a piece of paper. It actually has to have staffs, you know what I mean?
No, I understand.
Yeah. But just have that in the back of your mind. Existing activity or existing task, like I said before, project management. If you're doing a series of tasks, if you're doing a series of activities, if you're able to document them as projects, just take credit for them. Have a log. Write down everything that you did. Do you guys have performance reviews with your boss at the end of the year? Are you required to do certain things at the end? What happens to us, or the majority of us, is that we will do a lot of things, and then we don't document them, and at the end of the year, your boss is going to find a reason not to give you a good rating and all that because you just simply forgot. How about this project that I did 9 months ago? You know what? It was 9 months ago. I can't remember. Document it. Okay? Document everything that you do.
Excuse me, Anna, when you talk about documentation, how in depth? How much in depth? I mean, I know you could talk about the project.
Yeah, so Kim, she provided did you take it with her?
I did.
Did she give you an Excel spreadsheet?
I remember that.
She gave us the class at the time, she gave an Excel spreadsheet, and it kind of like, it helps you how to log everything in there. But you can either do it like that for the PMP. But if you're just documenting the projects, I would just pretty much do in a PowerPoint presentation. You define a project, you improve a project, you investigate, you define what the problem is. This is the problem. The company has 70% on-time delivery, logistics. Okay? 70% on-time deliveries, on-time delivery. This is the problem. You define it. You're going to investigate. You're going to look at every single shipment that you did. Is there any pattern in between or whatever? So slide number 2, you investigate things. Slide number 3, I'm going to put a solution. So it's your verify phase. What am I going to do about it? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be verifying that this is going to the root cause. The I, to the root cause of the problem. Right? And then later on, you're going to ensure that that gets improved next month. So 4 slides per problem. Okay. You document 4 slides per problem. Define, investigate with the root cause, verify with the solution, and improve for next month. Focus on, I'm touching on the subject more and more because I want this to be in your head. Focus on home remodeling utilizing carpentry skills versus I'm a carpenter. This goes back into I'm not a carpenter, or I'm not a project manager. I'm not a black belt, but I can utilize my skills the same. Okay. And also, when you learn these LSX, Lean Six Sigma skills as a means to design rather than an end to itself, just make sure that you're just not putting out there that you know the tools or the skills. It has to be valuable for someone.
Excuse me, in regards to the home remodeling utilizing corporate skill versus carpenter, are you talking about like you have they call it garbage collector versus they say I'm an engineer? Like on LinkedIn, if you're, say for instance, I do credit card processing, right? But I'm not like in-depth experience with it. Would I say I'm in the payment industry to leverage that area? Or is this what you're saying?
Basically, what I'm saying is the issue that we normally have as students is that we don't lose titles.
Oh, okay.
But not having the titles does not mean that you cannot do the job. So you have to be creative in how you present yourself on those vehicles, which is presenting the skills.
Then you learn in class.
Focus on the skills, yeah. So
Okay.
instead of saying project manager, you can say applying project manager skills at the PMP body of knowledge. That's what I put in my list.
Well, you
I'm not
just
a
use,
PMP, but I took the class, right? And I know what page 43 is in the book. So I have those skills that tells me the same. Hire me as a project manager because I can do it.
and the other thing I noticed when I looked at LinkedIn, other person's profile, they use the classes they've done. Like, oh, I've done this in business modeling, or they left a lot of courses that they've done.
Right. You
I
can do
guess
that
the
too.
keywords, as you said, the search engine runs the
Yeah.
keywords, and at the end of the day, they just want to see the words that's in there. So
Correct.
I did project management.
So as much as you can use this, so that the more the keywords you use, the more your chances of your name goes up or improves. Okay. So market your potential if your experience is lacking. Is that clear? So I wanted to go to another one quick here to see what is the profile of a process improvement professional? What do you think you need to have in order to be successful?
Certification.
Certification? Tell me more about the social skills. Dr. Kramer, give me a social skill of a PI professional.
Gotta be able to listen.
Listening skills. What else?
Listening and communication.
I wrote some words here myself.
You gotta be detail oriented.
Detail oriented?
Exact. He wants exact.
Have to be able to lead a group.
So you team leader,
Confident.
confident.
I would think that they would have to be motivators.
Motivator? Big one. Big one. Getting in front of people there and getting people engaged in doing stuff.
Confidence. No, you're right.
Yes, in front of public speaking. How about the problem solver? That is mandatory. People will come to you to solve a problem. You have to pull your toolbox. How am I going to solve this problem? I can do hypothesis testing on this one, or I can use a lean tool on this one. How about you a facilitator?
All those are software stuff that you said toolbox, I mean, those are softwares, professional, or they're just methods? Are there,
No methods.
all right.
Methods, yeah. How about entrepreneur? Entrepreneur? And how about source of knowledge? Is that people want to come to you because you might have the solution to a problem? Does that mean you have to know everything?
You let them know you will search on, work on it.
But, so you have to, what we talked about, studying, learning, reading, right? So even if you don't know what that is all about, you're going to go like, oh, I read about this. I could go back and research and, yeah, right? So have a certification, that's very good. Not necessarily mandatory for you to have it, but highly desirable. Listening skills, mandatory. You guys go to work on a day-to-day basis and you want to talk all the time, you should change it. Okay? If you are the ones who like to have this last say and everything, it's just not going to work because you have to listen to the skills. You have to have listening skills because a lot of times when you go and sit through like a root cause analysis, people don't want to say that they made a mistake. And a lot of these problems that you're trying to solve are like gaps in the process, and a lot of these gaps in the process are just messing up pretty bad. And if you don't like to listen, people usually don't like to say that they made mistakes. So,
Question for you. What are some of the must-have certifications? that you would recommend?
No, I would recommend PMP.
PMP?
Yeah, Project Management Professional from the PMI, Project Management Institute. I will obviously then recommend anything from ASQ. Don't try to do anything other than ASQ. That's what you want. You want to be a green belt. You want to be a black belt from the ASQ, not from the Villanova University. Okay? Detail-oriented. It requires that because you as an analyst, you have to be very good at Excel. You really have to get there. Team leader.
Well, what level with Excel? You're going to be like an expert at Excel?
Well, you're going to take the 50-20 now. You're probably going to be messing with Sigma Excel or Minitab. Oh, no, not Minitab, I'm sorry. Sigma Excel or Solver. Did you do business modeling? So if you did business modeling, that's where the kind of a level of Excel that you're required to have. You're not going to be building macros, but you would have to know formulas. But then if you don't know,
Is it like business modeling?
well, business modeling is going to help you. Okay? But the thing about interns, going back to interns, when interns they come and then they interview where I work, they come in and they can say everything. I don't know, but I can learn. And I know that interns today, they can learn, right? Because they are just different generation. They can learn anything you talk to them. So again, if you don't have the experience, I don't know, but I certainly learn about that one. The last thing that you guys want to do, please, is like when you're in an interview, and I've had this before, it's like, okay, do you know how to do this? No. No, but I will certainly learn how to do that. I can go YouTube, I can learn anything I want. Just be forthcoming, be creative. Sell yourself, help yourself. Confident, which is what we just said. I don't know, but I'll learn it. The source of knowledge, we talked about this. You're going to have to learn. Learning is never going to end. Motivator, you will get in front of people and talk like what I'm doing today. Okay? It's also in front of your company. If at your job you have an opportunity to speak in front of a team, who wants to talk about that? Hello, okay? Because the more you get yourself out there, the more confident you're going to get. This thing is just going to come to you very easily. Public speaking. If you have fear of speaking, anybody here is scared of talking in front of a group?
Depends who you're talking to. Talking to a bunch of executives, and
Yeah, it depends on what topic. The more you know about the topic, the easier it is. So
It depends on the audience. You're right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll feel it's strange. Like I'm real comfortable talking with like groups like this, anything. But if I'm on a stage where there's like lighting and I can't see my audience, I like kind of freak out because you think it's just another audience, but it's your mind's expecting a different type of connection because I'm ready to look at people and get the nonverbal communication and feedback and all that and I'm looking and I see darkness and I have blinding hot lights and darkness. I'm like, whoa. So you're right. So or maybe you go to this group of people I've never spoken to, the executives. You're like, man. So it's important that you may think that you can do this cold, but you really need to try and find situations where you can get in there and catch your feet. Even if you're generally comfortable speaking, you don't want to get tripped up on something that's really important to you to walk into there and stumble because you'll be surprised. You'll be like, oh, I didn't know I was going to feel that freaked out. And you're sweating and you're like, oh, man, I'm a mess. Why? Because you never, it's like, what do they say? You should never go to the interview you want the first one. You need a practice interview.
Oh, yes.
That's so critical. You need to be able to throw a couple away to learn from them.
And that's the other thing also, and thanks for reminding me. Always be open to go interview. Okay? Never this thing about, I'm not looking for a job right now. No, you are. Okay? You are always available. You are like, I don't want to say you like a prostitute if you go anywhere. Okay, but you're just like, I'm open, I will go with you, and I will, because what you want to do is you want to get comfortable with the interview skills, and you want to be able to get there, and if your hands are sweaty, you're not going to shake that person's hand, you're going to do this first, and then you shake. And if you're going to do a woman, just do a limpy one, just do a good handshake. But go there many times, as much as you can. Go to interviews.
When we were at the networking seminar, they said that try at least to know who you're going to present to. At least you have a better, feel better if you have an idea what their experiences are, their background, so you can have a certain confidence in yourself.
For an interview, which is the subject of what we're talking about, you today, you can find out who you are interviewing with. So you're going to an interview tomorrow, right? I'm sorry, what's your name? Do you know who the hiring manager is?
I mean, I'm interviewing with Wells Fargo. It's going to be a group interview tomorrow.
Okay. Do you know at least one person when you go to the interview?
No.
No? If you don't know, you can't. You can give them a call and say, can you give me the name of the person who I'm interviewing? Just type their name, you know where you're going to go?
Google.
And you're going to see what it is that person does, what are the skills that they have, and then kind of like get a feeling. So your audience, you talk to your audience, right? And do this with plenty ahead of time, so you don't do this like the day before, right?
A lot of times the person that you're interviewing, most likely they will have either a Facebook profile or a profile on LinkedIn, so you read a little bit about them.
Yeah.
And if you have any common interests, you read them.
Yeah. So always do that. Learn as much as you can from that person. So I want to talk a little bit about LinkedIn. What I was designing this workshop, I wanted to design it more on a strategic way than on a tactical way. I wanted to talk more about how you can build your content, and then rather than saying this is what you do on LinkedIn, okay? It doesn't do much for you if you don't have the content to put it on LinkedIn. So I wanted to spend as much time as you can on your content so that it's easy for you to put a LinkedIn page together. So when your content is, getting worked on and everything, and you're ready to go on LinkedIn and then make it better, I want you to focus on your picture, okay? Nova can get you a professional picture taken for free. Please take a professional picture.
Yeah, GBSA usually, I think once a semester, will have pictures available, and they'll advertise it.
Yes.
At least once a year, if not once a semester. I think they generally will have pictures available for students, not just GBSA, but any students. So keep your eyes out, and if you're not sure, just ask. Yeah. And you can ask a GBSA, just go by their thing and
do a professional picture when you go to a conference. I remember when we went in a conference last year, they have professional. They take pictures for free. Okay, take a professional picture and put a professional picture of yourself. Think headshot versus me on a mountain. Okay, because you on an airplane or you in a mountain in the back or you looking at your dog, it really gives actually the off. You just don't want that, not because they can't see you, but recruiters who just choose somebody else because you're going to think like, why isn't this person paying attention to their package, right? It's about not who you are, but a perception of you, okay? Your professional headline. Choose this. Operational excellence, continuous improvement, process improvement, okay? Choose a organizational expert instead of administrative assistant, okay?
And also try and keep it not linked to any one vocation, like operational excellence. That applies to anything.
Anything.
So people will search terms like that and you'll pop up. So be careful about using jargon that may pigeonhole you in one specific area and people don't see it.
Like sales.
Right, and then the other thing is, like, remember what I told you? This is your employer does not own this. It's you. So you are in the field of continuous improvement. That doesn't mean that you're putting a title. You're not faking a title. This is not like you're trying to promote different than you are. This is just the field that you're in. Okay? So operational excellence is a pretty good one. CI professional is another one. Process improvement professional is another one. Okay. Also URL. I'll talk a little bit about that when I looked at an example. And summary, write it in the first person, don't use jargons, okay? Like I said, recruiters have no idea what you do. So don't use jargons because they're going to look at this, they're going to know what. You need to help the recruiter. You need to help a recruiter schedule an interview with you. The hiring manager is going to look at the experience side, but the recruiter is going to look at the first part, okay? Search engine optimization, we talked about this already. Try to use as many good words as possible to get you where you want to be. So list yourself higher. Skills, you can use up to 50, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. How do you get people to endorse you? On LinkedIn. I endorse you for logistics. I endorse you for continuing to do. How do I get people to endorse you?
You endorse them, right?
Endorse them. Okay, do more. Do a lot for people. Just go out there and endorse people and be honest. Don't be endorsed. I got people who endorse me that I know that I have no idea what they go in and endorse. I actually refuse it because I just don't think that it does a really good service, you know?
I'm sorry, what means endorse?
I'll show you.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm not really.
Recommendations, the same thing. The recruiters not only look at the recommendations that you have. I only have 3 recommendations. I don't have a lot of recommendations, but I give a lot of recommendations. And my job, but we are actually not allowed to give recommendations to people that work with us because they don't work that. Writing, blogging, communities. Do a like. When you do a like on LinkedIn, it goes up. Okay? When you make a comment on something, it shows that you commented. It shows that you like. So there's a lot of activity that goes in the background when you do a comment and when you do a like. Okay? And then what you want to do, you want to go from knowing you to knowing who you are.
What were you going to talk about the URL?
Yeah, I'll show you.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I don't think that we are going to have much time to do resume activity. We only have 15 minutes more. But if we don't have it, I just wanted to say, in your resume, 80% of your content on LinkedIn will go on your resume. Just copy and paste. Okay? Especially the experience. Do the same things. Everybody here knows that no personal information goes on your resume, right?
You know what?
No personal information here. I don't want to know how many kids you have, if you're married, if you're not married, where you were born. Believe me, people do this.
Home address?
I don't put home address because it doesn't really matter. You just want to put the city that you live so that they know how much if you're commuting, if you're not commuting.
I often wonder if subconsciously or not intentionally employers judge you by your address and the area that you live in.
Right. So if you live in Pembroke Pines, just put Pembroke Pines. Don't put your address. If they can go to Google, they can see, where you live. And you don't want, if that's not a very particular place you're proud of, you don't really want people to make preconceived judgments about that. But, and use the LinkedIn URL, and I'll show you. Make sure you have a headline on your resume. And in the expertise section, I want you to use bullet points, and I'll show you. And then 2 pages max. Do not use, I have 3, and I think that is too much. I have to reduce it. And this is the activity that we're going to do. You're a recruiter, you have 30 seconds, and I want you to look at the problems. Because again, recruiters, when you look at a resume, they only have 30 seconds. I think it's 40 seconds. But 30 seconds, you don't catch somebody's attention, you're going to move on. So before we get to that, let me quickly go on to the LinkedIn page here real quick. And I wanted to show you what I mean by the URL. You guys see this down here? See this? Yeah, so LinkedIn doesn't give you this. LinkedIn gives you a whole bunch of numbers. You go in and see the pencil here, go in and change it for your name. Because you want to get that and put it on your resume. Okay? You want to copy and paste this and put it on your resume. You're going to have your name, and you're going to have your phone number, and then below you want to have this. Because you want the person to go to your LinkedIn webpage. And this is your URL. And you have to come in here and actually change this. Edit. You have to go in and actually edit. Like when it gives you the option of what you want, I don't know what change to. Yeah.
Look at you.
Oh, here, see? You can go in and change it.
You just put your name.
Just put your name there instead of a whole bunch of numbers. Instead of a whole bunch of numbers. Okay? So you want it to actually be something that they can quickly look at it, because when you create a profile, it just has LinkedIn.com and a whole bunch of numbers, and you just want to put your name in there. Okay? Just have that.
On your LinkedIn page, you have say for instance, you guys are part of this group. You can put if this group has a website. You can link it to that as well.
Yes. So, okay. So in experience, you're gonna put as much as you can in bullet points or whatever, and you're gonna put your experience there. And again, if you don't have experience, you're gonna write what your potential, right? And even if you didn't do that, you're gonna try to frame it in a way that it fits some sort of a.
Like a class you did.
Yeah, so I only have 3 recommendations. I don't spend too much time on that one. Okay, organizations. You see here? So if you're part of ASQ, just put it in there that you're part of ASQ. But I actually haven't, I have to delete this because I haven't renewed it. I'm part of this one. I'm a Toastmaster. I'm part of Toastmasters. So I highly recommend if you want public speaking skills. Here, American Society for Quality 1510 chapter, okay? Show your education, your process improvement track, and all of that. Where you live, blah, blah, blah. Courses, for you talking about the courses, so you put the courses in
So you
here.
have a section for courses as well.
You have a section for courses, yeah. The courses. If you have done anything outside of school, you can put it in there. Put your interests there. And here. So the skills and endorsements, we're talking about this, right? So how do you get people to endorse you? The more you get endorsed by those skills, again, CEO, the higher you are. To endorse people so that they can endorse you. Okay? So endorse that.
How do you endorse someone?
When you go on LinkedIn, it comes up right on top. Does Brooke Meltzer know about supply chain? And then you click endorse. Okay? You can build up to 50 of these. Okay? Up to 50.
So those are the keywords that will.
Those are the keywords that will. If a recruiter is looking for somebody with, I don't know, aerospace, and this, like a combination of keywords, so the more you have, the higher you're up in the search. Okay?
So it all depends what you want to be searched for.
No, I would say that you put it in according to your
Speak, I know.
your skills. Yeah, your skills.
But it's all what you want to tailor yourself.
Correct.
So if you don't want to do the sale again, take it out.
Yeah. So, okay, and then you know that down here, you can follow those companies, or you can participate in groups, right? And then you can participate in discussion and things like that. So I wanted to, let's go over quickly on the, how many resumes do we have? One, not this one. Not this one.
They changed the look of LinkedIn recently, right?
I don't
So I
know.
haven't been in there like a week and it looks so different.
Oh, this is yours?
It's mine, yeah, this for you. And this one here.
We're going to share it.
All right, good. So we have it. Okay, so like I said, in 5 minutes, no, in 2 minutes, just grab a pen. If you guys have pens, I want you to pretend you are a recruiter, and I want you to quickly look at the first half of a resume and take a look at the problems that you see, okay, in a resume. What it is that you don't like.
Pencil.
And those of you who own the resumes, don't feel bad if somebody critiques, okay? You want people to critique you. You want people to give you golden nuggets.
I have another copy for you.
Anybody else? You're a recruiter, you have 40 seconds. What it is that you don't like. We're just looking at the top portion, you said? The first portion, yeah. The first half. First half. Okay, all right. What was your name again?
Ali.
Ali, did you make any comments? No?
No, actually, I guess spacing. When I'm reading, I want it more like open, it's easier to read. So, but then you have to end up with only 2 pages. Like mine's 5 pages.
So give me one word as what it is that you, when you saw the first half of that resume you have, no matter what that resume is from, what it is that you did like. Spacing. Okay. Spacing. Formatting. Nick.
I was looking for more skills.
More skills. Okay. Brian.
This one, I was impressed by the volunteer work. I think that the working will be stronger.
Okay. Michael.
On this one, the way the address is formatted at first, I would fix that. Education, they have present until when they finish. I would put when you started and then just put present. And then I wouldn't add unemployment they have for 2 months. I wouldn't add that to the resume.
Unemployment?
Like if you've been employed for only 2 months,
Oh,
I wouldn't add that. If you want to go with therapy for 2 months, I wouldn't add that to the resume.
Yeah.
So I guess there's a piece of having certain terms that you want to have, but then sometimes it being a little too like specific, and then I guess a little
Too much jargon.
yeah, a little piece of okay, are you supply chain? Because I know it's supply
Fine, yeah.
chain.
So not
sometimes
focused.
there's yeah,
Not
you know,
focused.
so you have one section that's like I
One
can see what you're
thing,
trying to do, but maybe there's
So
a
not
line or
focused.
yeah.
You say, okay. Cindy.
For mine, it was just the formatting of the top here, and then the email itself, just the type of email, it should be more like your name, not something that you know what I mean, prefer, your friends or whatever. It should just really be your name. That's what I've learned, that you kind of just use your first, last name, maybe.
More professional.
Yeah.
Professional email account.
Yeah, like you don't put
Is
your.
it
I think the best is for professional, but it's like a lot
a lot?
of stuff.
They're too much, too wordy, right?
And yeah, it's a lot. You just need to be condensed down
Condensed.
to what you want to see real quick. Yeah.
So a couple of things that we learned in here when we look at these resumes. How much time does a recruiter take to look at your resume?
30 seconds.
30 to 40 seconds. Okay. Now, nowadays, these companies, what they do have is that they have systems that already do that for you. But still, the system is going to give the recruiter maybe 5 or 10 resumes. So the recruiter is still going to have candidates that he or she needs to look for. So you want to make sure that you want them. So number one, what you want to do is you want to capture half of it. You want it to be, wow, that is awesome resume. So I want to get this guy in. Okay, that's what you want. One word you said? Didn't say. You said formatting. So pay attention to formatting. Be careful with formatting because when you go onto those companies and then you apply online, there's a lot of formatting that you cannot have. Otherwise, it just messes it up and it just becomes really ugly.
Does it work with, like, if you put into your resume like an Excel table in order to be able to get what you want
I
in?
don't know. I don't know. I'm not very much familiar with how the companies are, those resumes.
Mhm.
I'm not sure. What was the word you said?
Skills.
Skills, more skills.
Yeah.
Okay. Brian?
Just about the objective.
You want the objectives to be the summary. Again,
Rewording.
okay, good point, right? I think the objectives.
I took that out of mine.
Yes, I think that the objectives today is like, in the past a lot, because nowadays,
Traditionally,
it's boring.
You just want to look at it and say, okay, you already kind of.
like dig right in.
I think it's like, the bullet point is good because you go like, okay, forget about especially if you don't have the experience. Look at all I know, right? So bullet points, and I'm like, oh, this guy knows this, and this. Forget about it, yeah, because objectives, and then sometimes you realize.
And it's like it's a general thing.
Yeah.
You know that I want to seek an opportunity for advancement,
know,
or I want to go into a company that
obvious,
is going to allow me to
apply to
use
use my skills, yeah, very obvious.
Take a lot of space. So
Mike.
then maybe reconsider the agenda.
Reconsider objectives. Get rid of objectives. I got it's your resume. Which you want? Mike.
For me, it was just, like I said, before, the formatting of the address.
Formatting.
And then the email, if you work somewhere for just a little bit.
Why the address though? What's the?
You live north, space west, and then 7, I would go 7 with a TH. Just the format.
Oh, you mean just addresses? Not that address.
No, the format.
The formatting. Nothing wrong
Change
with
your
By the end,
Oh, okay, so
Not focus more would be more general.
be specific. Well,
I mean, more of a way that you could apply it to. It's
You
not
mean
more.
take this out?
No, it's more like some of the terminology, because it's kind of split to here's your process improvement, your supply chain, they kind of look like separate entities that are not, together kind of thing. So it's more of a generalizing them as skill sets that combine and work alongside each other.
okay, that's a good thing. I will take that with me. Cindy,
Mine was just the email.
the email address. Okay, sorry. I have a professional email address. I don't want people to judge you by your email address. And David, last word.
Condense.
Condense. Too much stuff in there, right? I said 3 pages. So, okay, so we just have 1 more minute, and I wanted to see if we have achieved some of the things that you guys said in the beginning. Okay, can I please have your recognition real quick? Okay, so you want to know, some of you said, I want to know how to stand out. Did you guys learn some skills of how to stand out in your resumes and on your LinkedIn?
Not really.
Keywords.
Not really.
Keywords. Keywords. How about the building of your content? Right? Yeah, building of your content. Okay. Looking for PR, maybe PR concentration. So are you sold on PR concentration?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah, I
Yes.
want to do more research.
So come see Dr. Kramer, have a conversation with him, and schedule some time to see him.
I did a class with Dr. Albert Lapierre, operations management.
Mhm.
I love his teaching style and everything. He talked about a lot about JIT and Lean and Six Sigma. That's something I was interested in.
Okay, I definitely suggest you go that route. Did the facilitator do well?
He did a great job.
Looking for areas within the field. So I think it was David who said that he wanted to see what else is there in process improvement, right? Different areas. Oh, Michael, yeah, you said it. Maybe we didn't talk too much about that, right?
Not much, but that's all my own.
We talked about project management, right? And highlight advantages of your skills. Did we talk about this? How to highlight your advantages in your skills.
Yes.
I think we talked a lot about that one. This is what you need to do. If you don't have the experience, you have to talk about your potential. How to present myself better. Did we talk about this? How to present
Yes.
yourself better?
Pictures and anything.
Your pictures, how you come to meetings, we didn't talk about how you dress, but just use common sense. Leverage others with process improvement. So network, come to advance and do the weekend. So I just, yes, Dr. Kramer.
Nicole's actually been here the whole time, and she said one of the best $300 she ever spent was having her resume professionally done.
Oh, that's an idea.
So, and my guess is if you want a reference on that, she'd probably be willing to help you find the service that she found useful. But it's it's a big deal, especially with today's technology, because it's not just what's on paper. It's Well, I'm guessing it's just not what's on paper, but it's important that your resume is able to be conveyed on paper, electronically, on social media, and every place that you want it to be. And you may have to have different ones for different audiences.
Yeah.
Like if you're going toward healthcare, or if you're going through manufacturing, if you're going to a service industry, the jargon would change. But if you leave it all vanilla, it can be kind of risky. It's kind of like not knowing about the person you're talking to. And they pick up on that, and they're like, "You're just going wah 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 wah."
So I wanted to just close with making an offer to you guys. If you guys want, by next week, I will give you over the weekend for you guys to make changes to your resume, and I'll offer to take a look at it for free. I don't charge for that. At least it is $300, Nicole. I'm not an expert in that, but I can put the process improvement side of it together with some of these tips and try to help you. So if you'd like to take advantage of that, I will do that for you. If you want to contact me, you can contact me, send me your resume, I'll take a look at it, and I'll make recommendations. But it has to be by next week, because I don't want you to go back home, not forget about everything that we did here.
What's your email? I think it's in the.
Anna.Shafer@gmail.com. And I wanted to have this everything fresh in your minds. Go this weekend, and please always have a fresh version of your resume available. If you know there's this thing about a recruiter contacts you and said, my resume from last year, I have to redo it, and then the recruiter's going to wait for you, and how special are you? They're going to wait for you like a week for you to put this together. Always have it ready, okay? Be professionally ready for everything. Be ready. Answer phone calls right there. Be connected, and get back to recruiters and get back to people who want to contact you. So if you want to do that, do by Monday. If you give it to me by Monday of next week, have this weekend, make the changes that you need to do. I'll take a look at your LinkedIn page, and I'll take a look at your resume.
I was the question about the being part of the group, how for the membership, is it all send you a link as well?
For which group? ASQ?
Yeah.
Go to ASQ for membership.
ASQ.org, ASQ.org. It's look at membership, you'll fall right over it.
The student.
It's a great investment. It's definitely worth it.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, and don't forget your feedback forms.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to get an experience of what that potential, the attorney potential, and that whole thing. I just recently switched jobs. That's a kind of software company that uses script and servers and all these like technical terms. I don't know any of that, but I sold them because they saw potential and that I had some experience with the field per se. But all that technical stuff that I did not know, they were okay with because they'd rather teach me that and what I brought and the fact that I was, had show them I'm willing to learn, that I'm willing to try to improve processes. They thought that was more valuable than someone that had all the experience.
That's what I was talking about.
Well, yeah, I realized that.
Usually employers prefer somebody who hasn't learned the wrong way to do it.